Bell K, we call him Headless Bell because he will not be on TV with me, despite the fact that he's a fetching young lad. But he does participate in Talk TV by setting up the shots and making sure everything goes as smoothly as humanly possible, along with U.S. Pest and F&M Bank. He also gives us our titles every day. And today's title of our episode 612 is...
Matt Murphy, all the new news about the pews. Libertarian lunch, noon to 3. Picnicking on a sloped roof.
I disagree with you. I like it, too. Wait, what was the last part? I talked over
Libertarian lunch, noon to 3. Picnicking on a sloped roof.
So, Bell tells me before the show, he said, I made the show title yesterday, and I don't think anybody but me will like it. I kind of liked it. All the new news on the pews.
All the new news on the pews.
That's my favorite shirt referencing Star Wars, the pew. Anyway. Yes, we do have all the new news on the pews with some good friends from Defense Systems that are going to be coming up in just a couple of minutes. Gloria and Adam are in. Adam, when he was in earlier in the week, made reference to the fact that Adam had gone through sniper school, and I don't know if that provides him some level through his experience as a Green Beret. I don't know if that provides him of any unique insight into perhaps what training dictates military versus Secret Service. We'll find out all of those things when we talk to these guys coming up in just a couple of minutes. At 1:05 this afternoon, Courtney Johnston is taking on Andy Ogles in the 5th Congressional District Republican primary August 1st. She's in studio with us, and we have an opportunity to talk to her about what she would do similarly and differently than Congressman Andy Ogles, who is asking for a second two-year term. At 2:05, Rudy Kalis, sportscaster extraordinaire, will be with us. He will not be in studio originally, we were hoping, but he's actually in a prison ministering through Men of Valor in a prison today. And he's going to speak to us about an event that's coming up next Monday that I want you to be a part of. We need to open up our wallets and give with our hearts with regard to Men of Valor because it's a wonderful organization. And all in between, we'll talk about Joe Biden last night at the NAACP event. We'll talk about day 2 of the Republican National Convention, which was incredible. Some parts more incredible than others. Obviously, we are anticipating the J.D. Vance speech tonight as he was selected as a vice presidential selection by Donald Trump. And, of course, we continue to cover the aftermath of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And as we get more information, whatever information that we're getting, and we're not getting a lot. I mean, folks, it feels like the government is using the various departments of the federal bureaucracy to hand paperwork around to the point that we stop asking questions. Now, I understand it's Wednesday, and we're dealing with something that happened on Saturday. And I understand that we live in a society of a certain level of immediacy, that we want the information right now, jiffy quick. But that's not what's going on here. You've not heard from Kimberly Cheadle, the director. I mean, she gave one interview with ABC, and other than that, where's the press conference? Where is the Secret Service, the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security stepping forward and answering questions, legitimate questions regarding afternoon in terms of the security failures? I'm a layman. I surround myself with very knowledgeable people regarding certain things, a lot of things, as a matter of fact. Because you can learn a lot when you do that. I am in the room right now with two people that know a hell of a lot more about securing an area than I do. But even I know that you look around at the buildings and go, hey, maybe we should look at that building over there and, I don't know, put somebody on it, or make sure other people that want to shoot the president don't get on it. Or maybe we should have a level of communication. If we're going to hand that off to local authorities, maybe we should make sure that there's a line of communication between the local authorities and the Secret Service themselves. So when the local authorities encountered the dude with the gun 2.5 minutes before he pops off some rounds, the Secret Service would know so that they can get their protectee the hell out of there. I mean, if I know that, then people need to be fired. And nobody's getting fired. No one's getting fired. Joe Biden doesn't fire anybody. Donald Trump negotiated an exit from Afghanistan. I don't know, and I don't care if the story about him telling the Taliban leader that he's going to kill him is true. But I believe it. I believe it because I believe Donald Trump's a badass like that, right? And if you've not heard this story, Donald Trump is sitting with these people and with military leaders, and they're trying to figure out how to get our people out and maintain order and maintain a respect for American interest in that region of the world. And Donald Trump told the translator to tell them, if you harm an American, I will kill you. The deal is off, and you will die. And the translator's like, what? Yeah, tell him that. And the translator told him that. And the Taliban acted like, whatever. And then Donald Trump gave the Taliban leader a photograph of his location where his family lived. Here. That's for you to peruse while you think about things. That's how you get things done. He hands that off to Joe Biden. Joe Biden totally botches the Afghanistan extraction to the point that 13 service people died. Service people that Joe Biden obviously has forgotten, because at the debate last month, Joe Biden said no American service people died on his watch. You forget about the 13 that died in the extraction out of Afghanistan, sir? And nobody got fired. Nobody got fired. Nobody got reprimanded. Nobody. 13 people died. Joe's looking at his watch while they're coming home. Nobody's fired. The disaster at the southern border. When are we going to fire somebody from the Department of Homeland Security for what's going on at the southern border? Joe Biden doesn't fire people. If you think for a second that Joe Biden's going to fire Kimberly Cheadle, you're wrong. They are doing this as an act of defiance. You're not going to tell us what to do. Well, you know, they almost just killed a former president. Well, yeah, but she's perfectly competent. She's competent in guarding the Cheetos, as Elon Musk said. So all of those things are on the docket for today. Plus your telephone calls 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWT. Would love to hear from you either on the phone lines or on the membersnutrition.com super text line. That is up and available as well. I always love having my good friends at Defense Systems in. They've got an event coming up later on this week, actually tomorrow. My goodness gracious, time flies. And so Gloria and Adam are going to talk to us a little bit about that. And obviously I'm going to lean on some of their expertise and their thoughts. We heard from Brink, the man himself, this past Monday, and he referenced Gloria and Adam as good resources to talk about how you secure an area, how you secure a perimeter, all of these things. We'll discuss it all in just a moment. Take an early time out.
Yes. I have a quick question for Adam. In order for me to take him seriously, I need to confirm that he was certified for a sloped roof.
That is a question that we will ask him right after we go to break on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Fired up, huh?
No, you don't get on the slope roof. No. Slope roof. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to spend a moment talking to you about your personal health. Now, listen, I understand that it's personal when we talk about personal health, but I also understand that there are things that happen underneath the hood, if you will, that you don't recognize until they've been going on for some time. Lung issues, heart issues, these are things that we need to identify early as possible. It's one of the reasons when I first heard about Craft Body Scan, I went over. Craft Body Scan has offices right downtown in Nashville. You can go in, you can stop by and schedule an appointment in person. Better yet, you can make a call to Craft Body Scan. And for $149, not only you, like for example, I'm just going to use my two friends in the studio right now. If Adam and Gloria, they don't make you document that you're like couples, but if Adam and Gloria went over and said, hey, we want to scan, Murphy told us about it, it said it was $149, both of them get a heart and lung scan. You go through the CT scan, you don't have to take your clothes off or anything like that. It's non-invasive. You do the CT scans, it's about 5 to 8 minutes. They're certified radiologists check it, and then they give you the results. And most times, like they did for me, and I was a little bit surprised. I said, what now? Say again? They said, your lungs look great. I said, I smoked for 17 years. They said, well, they look great now. I've been stopped for 17 years. They said, your heart looks good. You get the thumbs up most of the time. But if you don't, if they say, hey, you might want to check on this or that or the other thing, you've caught it early enough where you don't feel it before you see it, and you can deal with it. That's peace of mind, friends. Go to togetherwescan.com. That's togetherwescan.com, or call them today for an appointment. You don't need a referral. 615-436-1000. 436-1000. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy, 1220. That was on me, by the way. And I'll tell you why. Because never in the history of this radio show have I been coming back from a break at 12:20. It's normally about 12:28 when the expectation is that I come back from break. But I did one early today because we got some great guests in studio. Courtney Johnston coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, Rudy Kalis in the 2 o'clock hour. I think Cameron Smith is here today. All in on Trump. By the way, we'll talk about the RNC, and we'll try to cover everything involving the assassination attempt that is just Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 4 days old. Just 4 days old. And we do this with Gloria and Adam from Defend Systems, who have an event tomorrow that we want to make you aware of. We appreciate these guys stopping by studio. Jump on those microphones there, Bell K. Thank you very much. Give them some red dots. Bell K. Adam's red dot doesn't work. Mark that. Well, that's typical.
It's on.
Adam, Gloria, hello.
Hi.
How are y'all?
Actually, hold on a second.
We're holding on a second. Bell told us to hold on a second.
It's been about 3 seconds.
I don't know what we're doing. Thank you.
Seconds are still going.
When seconds matter, Bell is minutes away. That's what they tell me.
That's good.
We got Gloria, though, so there's Adam. There's your red light.
Got a red light.
How about that? Gloria Mays. And I went with Mackenzie, and now I'm going to stick with Mackenzie. And it's not Mackenzie. It's McIntyre. It's McIntyre. I got it. It's Adam McIntyre with Defend Systems. Hello, gang.
Hello.
Hi.
I hate that y'all are busy. I tell Brink all the time that I want you to have to go find new work because you have no work to do. But sadly, that's not going to happen anytime soon. I'm going to start. I'm just going to go around the room because I don't want to lead you guys in any direction in any particular order. But I'll start with you, Gloria.
Okay.
Saturday evening. Tell me your impressions.
Oh, gosh.
Obviously, talking about the Trump rally and the assassination. Yeah,
right,
obviously.
Wait, something happened? I don't. Yeah, so I think almost everybody knows that something wasn't right. Things went wrong. I think that's pretty obvious. There's just so much information out there. So the question I think that everybody really has that they're asking is, why did these things go wrong? And that's where the answers get a lot harder to find. But that's really what people are, I think, trying to push for right now to figure out is obviously there was a failure, but why?
The incompetence is so massive and so glaring that it leads people to think very dark things about how something like this could possibly happen. And you hit right on it. Why did this happen? We know what happened. We know that there were massive failures. Why were there massive failures? Were those massive failures due to a lack of communication, due to complacency, or due to some, God forbid, intentional act inside that led to that gap, giving that potential assailant the ability to crawl in? Adam, what are your thoughts?
Man, I look at all this from the tactical perspective from my previous career in Special Forces, and it was an epic security and planning failure. With all the different elements they had on the ground, it just didn't seem they had a plan that was disseminated to everybody that was there that day. I mean, that guy should have been apprehended minutes before. Trump should have been secured somewhere, maybe brought back on stage later, but it got to the point that guy should have never been shot. He should never have taken shots. It got way, way too far, and somebody needs to be held accountable for that.
Is it a matter of, as you guys absorb the information that we're all hearing, we heard very, very early on, well, this was outside of the rally perimeter, and the Secret Service had handed local authorities the duty to secure outside of the perimeter. Well, I mean, I'm just a guy that talks on the radio, right? But I know that anytime Secret Service is a part of the show, y'all tell me if I'm wrong, they run the show, right? Every aspect of the show.
They should.
And so anything that happens in that arena is their responsibility because they're either handling it or they're passing it off to somebody else to handle it. So it just feels like a lot of excuse making right now, Adam.
Yeah, that perimeter, if the fence is 150 meters away from President Trump, the fence is not the perimeter. The perimeter is a kilometer away, a kilometer and a half. You push it out to what you want it to be within your security bubble. So if you wanted nobody over there in those buildings that day, then you push them away. You close that down for that day or for the 2 hours that he's there. So again, epic security failure. If, hey, there's a fence there, that's our perimeter. No, the perimeter is what you make it.
Let me try, you guys, to give I want to play devil's advocate. It's hard to do, but I'm going to try to do this. We have so many. I mean, I can't even do it. So I was going to say, there's so many of these events. Is it just a matter of becoming, and I guess this maybe is a part of it, best case scenario, they became so complacent. There are so many of these rallies that are being conducted that you feel sure that you've got it handled, and you allow certain aspects of what you're doing to just fall by the wayside.
Yeah, that complacency creeps in. Every rally, every event that Secret Service or whatever entity has, it goes off perfectly. Complacency gets worse and worse. I'm guilty of it.
Yeah,
overseas, 100%.
SROs are guilty of it. That's consistent, pretty much in any aspect.
Yeah, you're doing the same thing every day, or you're doing the same thing every weekend, or whatever it is, whatever the routine is, and every time you do it, everything's fine, and you go on home, and slowly but surely you kind of you lose that edge. I guess. I mean, that's a best case scenario for what went down.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
What happened though? Like, that is so obviously a threat, right? That that roof. There's no doubt that roof should have been secured.
But wait a minute, Gloria. That roof was very slopey.
So slopey.
It was so extremely slopey.
More extreme than the slope of the roof that the snipers were
actually on.
Yeah.
The counter snipers.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
The ones with the tripod that had the front tripod very extended to account for
makes sense
the
if you don't
slope
think about
of the
it.
roof. Yeah. Yeah. If you think about it long enough, it makes zero sense. What is that? Is that CYA?
I mean, that's not a very good CYA. Somebody's trying to, but
I think it's a pretty disrespectful answer, honestly. That's like a way of saying
our agents can't handle it.
Or a way of saying that the people that I'm telling this to aren't going to be smart enough to figure out how dumb of a response this is.
Well, and you just said something that occurred to me. On both sides. And for those who missed it, this was the director of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle, who was appointed in 2022 by the Biden administration and by the Department of Homeland Security. She was interviewed in the aftermath of the event, and she said, well, one of the reasons we have to regard our agents' safety, and that was a sloped roof. Okay, so on one hand, you're insulting me that I would just go, oh, okay, when I just saw an agent on a sloped roof, a counter sniper. Number two, and I didn't think about this part of it, how insulting is that to the agents? Like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I can't
handle that. You're telling the world that I can't handle that? Good. This is good for security.
It's insane.
Well, and, I don't know, maybe really what it is she doesn't have a good answer, and that's the best thing that she could come up with to not look too terrible, but
I'm not trying to tell these people how to do their jobs, but here's the answer then. And I think she was talking to this guy, Pierre, with ABC News. Pierre, I do not have a good answer why we did not have an asset on that roof, but I'm going to find out the answer.
Sure. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's real. I mean, that's telling the truth. In your, Adam, experience in your life in special operations as a Green Beret, you went through sniper school.
Yes.
Can you just generally walk us through protocol? Like, if you were on that roof behind the President of the United States and you were asked to do your job as a counter sniper, what is that like?
Yeah, so if I was, again, I'm armchair quarterbacking after the situation here, but if I was in that situation and I had notification that somebody was maneuvering on a rooftop, laying down, already had a rangefinder, now he's ID'd with a rifle. As soon as that guy pops his head over, he's gone.
He's out.
And I'll answer the questions later. But that stems back to the leadership of the Secret Service. How scared are they to take a shot? How scared are they to respond to anything?
If you, your understanding, and I know you've not been a part of the Secret Service, but do they have to wait for someone to authorize them to shoot?
I'm not 100% sure, but I really hope not, because if you wait, this is what happens. Shots are fired.
Right.
And then you got to counter
You're responding.
it. Yeah.
You're not acting, you're reacting.
Yeah, and if that guy was a little more on top of his game, it'd be a totally different situation right now.
Well, have you guys seen the
reenactment,
the
trajectory,
the thing where the head? They if you've not seen it, I put it up on my social media at Matt Murphy Show. They have one shot of Donald Trump at the podium. It's difficult to understand when they started talking about the head tilt. I didn't really understand it that much, but they do an above visual reenactment. They just do a graphic of his head position, and you see it in real time, and you can understand the turn that we're talking about from where the sniper was coming from. It was a turn of the head, probably his nose probably moved 2 inches, but it moved the angle of his head to the point where you went from a brain shot to an ear graze. And
Divine intervention.
Because otherwise we're having a very, very different conversation. If you guys were trying to assess the situation and kind of do a post-mortem over it, where do you start?
Man.
I mean, I know it's a loaded question. But
After action report, is this what we're...
Yeah, sure. Like, I call it post-mortem.
I mean, one of the biggest things with any after action report is the truth and honesty and being real, because a lot of these things, I'm sure this one will, can't guarantee it, but it's going to get twisted and turned to make it seem like the best case scenario for Secret Service and they did the right thing and it just was an accident or something. But being honest, that way these things don't happen again. That's the truthful thing to do, is make an AR that's going to make things better in the future for not just the president, but any EP situation that might occur later on in the future.
Executive protection, for those that don't know EP.
Thank you. Always got to help the Tracy's out there.
I translate for Adam.
I said the Tracy's. I said the Tracy's because I always say that. I didn't think about Tracy Manhole, but it's not you. I'm not talking about you, Tracy.
You can mistake me for her.
It's 12. No, I wasn't calling you. I was saying the Tracy's in the listening audience. That's what I call them.
Okay.
Sometimes people don't know what we're talking about. You got to catch them up to speed. And I normally call that person Tracy. I shouldn't today. It's 12:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back in a moment.
It's 12:30. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Sunny and 93. A full forecast is coming your way in minutes, and it includes a little break from the heat. With former GOP rivals of Donald Trump taking the stage, Tuesday was clearly about mending fences at the Republican National Convention. Jim Ryan has reaction from the floor to the unity theme.
5 months ago, it would have been inconceivable to hear Nikki Haley say,
Donald Trump has my strong endorsement, period.
Florida Delegate Samantha Scott says the party eventually will also have to reach out to Democrats.
Not every single issue has to be divisive, so I think there has to be a spirit of unity and a spirit of working together.
Donald Trump's Thursday speech may reveal how far unity actually goes.
And also, that speech tomorrow night has a completely rewritten message from before the assassination attempt. More Americans appear to be considering refinancing a home mortgage, but as ABC's Brian Clark says, overall, the number remains much smaller. Nashville home sales are up over 8% over last year. A Hendersonville mother has been charged with first-degree murder after admitting to police she drowned her daughter. According to News Channel 5, a family who were witnesses to the investigation has started a memorial along the Greenway where the incident happened. They want to turn the entire area near Sanders Ferry Road into Piper's Pathway to honor the 7-year-old's life. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
Hey friends, Matt Murphy here. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief is located in Franklin, and I encourage you to look up that location, go by and see them. They're right off of 96. You can also give them a call and schedule an appointment today. Why would you do that? Well, are you in pain in any way? Does your back hurt, neck hurt, knee, ankles, hips, elbows, wherever your parts move? If you have pain due to that movement, the Dr. Gill Center wants to see you because they can help alleviate that pain in a more natural way. They can help alleviate the pain without having to pop pills, without having to have needles injected in your body to block the pain, and certainly without having to have surgery. And for $49, they're going to bring you in. They'll give you a comprehensive analysis and evaluation. They'll get some x-rays from you, and you'll get your first appointment right there on site for the $49. That's a great value, friends, and it's a great way to start your pain-free living again. You don't have to live through the pain. You don't have to pop pills to avoid the pain. I've been there. I've done that, and I went to the Dr. Gill Center, and I encourage you to do so as well. Call 615-882-4838, 615-882-4838. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief is in Franklin. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy Show. Gloria and Adam from Defense Systems with us in studio, primarily to talk about and to encourage you to be a part of an event tomorrow. And before I get away from this, Miss Gloria, I want you to tell us all about the event tomorrow and how people can be a part of it.
Sure. So we are doing a free training event for anybody in the public that wants to come. It's going to be at Long Hollow Church, and the event is from 6 to 8 p.m., and that's tomorrow night. So if you guys don't have plans for tomorrow night, we want to come hang out with you. We want to see you. We want to meet you.
Absolutely.
We want you to come get this training. Yeah, I mean, we're partnering with TBI on this, so we've got lots of good things going there, and you can just, I mean, it's easy to find registration for it on our website, defensesystems.com. There will be a pop-up that will immediately take you to where you can register. So, yeah.
Be there. This is great. I mean, I've been through the training enough to know that there are kind of two portions of the training. How would you describe the first part, what we're going to do tomorrow night? Historical events and our like meat and potato, the DEFEND acronym. That is like the what to do, how to respond if you find yourself in this worse situation. Right. The second half deals with medical and how to, hands-on medical, how to apply a tourniquet properly, how to identify wounds, et cetera, et cetera. The first half is to how to not react but respond to threats. I was talking to Brink about this, and it's one of the most it's hit me, and it's one of the things that I've learned out of the defense systems training that I remember the most is that if a gun goes off, everybody reacts, right? If we're in an arena and a gun goes off, everybody at that rally Saturday evening reacted to a gun being fired. Responding and reacting are two different things. And it goes to the heart of what I've always said, and I'm talking to two people who've been involved in law enforcement, so this is not a negative to say this, that I think the concept of the first responder, I think we need to change that in our minds. With all due respect to the people with training, whether it be military or police, whatever it might be, those folks aren't there.
Right.
I'm there. I'm the first responder. Now, running is a response.
Can be.
Hiding is a response. Fighting back is a response. You guys help us understand
how to do those things well.
And when to do them.
That's right.
When to do one and when not to do the other, and what to do exactly and how to do it. So I encourage you to go to defensesystems.com to sign up for the training that you'll get.
Yeah, it's designed to get you emotionally invested so that by the time we get to that DEFEND acronym, that is the what do you do and why do you do it, you're almost craving that information.
Right.
You want it. And so it really, I mean, Brink has done an excellent job pouring his heart and his soul into building this training so that the user experience is as excellent as it is. Like, we want people to walk away getting something from this, because we've all sat through trainings that have not been effective, and he is so intentional about making this an effective training.
Well, and with that in mind, I remind you, it is not graphic in its nature, but you are talking about events where people lost their lives. Obviously, you have to address those things. You have to address them head on to understand how to react to them or to respond to them if you're ever in that situation. That's right. So just have that in mind. What would you say, what would you put the age limit on it from a youngster standpoint?
I mean, I think
teenagers can handle this.
Yeah, I think high school age is fine. We don't love the idea of high school kids coming, but that's totally, if they're of the right mindset, and obviously the parents are going to be able to make the best decision to know if their kid can handle that or not. But yeah, I mean, I think that's fine.
Jason points out, Belle, that someone emotionally invested does not include people crying when a tourniquet is applied during the... I mean, that was Jason on the membersnutrition.com super... That was Jason on the super text line. That was
he remembers the tourniquet, though.
Mentioning that. And did you do the leg one? Did you do the leg? You did. I know you did the arm. He's refusing. He's not responding. He's refusing to respond. When we did the arm was nothing.
Really? You think so?
Well, nothing by comparison to having to get up after the leg.
You think? See, I don't think the leg is as bad, but.
It's not the application. It's
standing up.
It's when they tell you to stand up and get out of the room because there's still a problem in the room and you got to leave the room.
Right.
That's the problem. Is when
it's something.
When the body says no, I really want to push blood down there.
Yeah, I really don't want to put pressure on it. But aren't you glad you have that experience? And now you know if you ever needed a tourniquet on your leg and you had to run away, you could.
Here's what I know about the defense system
right now.
I got one right over there. I got one right. We got two. We can apply two. We were just talking offline about certain aspects of what should have been done and what should not have been done. I'm just getting news less than an hour old that we're now learning on this Wednesday that the parents of the shooter were looking for him Saturday in the hours leading up to the Donald Trump rally, and it's now being reported that they called law enforcement to indicate that he was missing and that they were worried about him. It is unclear at this point what his parents told the authorities at the time, but the call happened Saturday, several hours before the assailant opened fire at Trump during the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, it could have been a missing persons report. But what's your first reaction to that?
You know, exactly what I did. It makes you go, like, makes you think, I guess, that the parents might have known something.
Yeah. No. That they were suspicious that their son, that there was something going on with their son.
Absolutely.
Because he was old enough to where he was 20 years old. So why would a parent who doesn't know where their 20-year-old has been for a
Spend
couple
a few
of hours,
right?
In the
except
morning. Wasn't 2 a.m, you know?
maybe
Right.
the other factors
Right.
of that, there's a Trump rally that's happening.
And what they did know was that, at least if we believe earlier reports, that he had regularly borrowed his dad's long guns to go to a shooting range to practice, had been doing that for some time. And we do know that he had asked his dad to borrow his 5.56 that morning or at some point during that day. Then he went by and bought ammunition. So you kind of start putting 2 and 2 together, and you get a feeling that maybe the family had something, maybe if not direct knowledge, a gut instinct to call the police. Yeah. So what do you think that based on what we know, the Secret Service director should resign right now?
Wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea. Again, I think a lot of this stems back to the leadership and why the shot wasn't taking place. And that's going to go all the way to the top. And I don't know this for sure, but I think people are afraid to respond to the situations.
Well, I don't know, and this is one of the aspects that Brink and I talked about Monday, that we don't know what the comm situation was between local authorities and Secret Service. I mean, there was obviously a breakdown if minutes before, and in some cases we're now hearing that this guy was identified by certain people in the crowd 30 minutes before as being suspicious, had a rangefinder at one point, and they saw him with a rangefinder. So, I mean, the communications breakdown itself, I mean, you have to be able to push communication up to the top, right?
And this isn't their first rodeo. Obviously, they've been doing this for years. They should be good at it. And if they have to bring their own radios to give to local law enforcement so they can all be on the same channel, then that has to happen. And I find it hard to believe that didn't happen. But again, like, hey, here's what you need to report to us. And it goes back to planning and the lower entities of the law enforcement being involved in the planning with Secret Service.
Right.
Given that I'm talking to somebody that has been through a level of training that I will probably never experience, I asked Brink this, and I'll ask you, Adam, that we saw the shot of the counter sniper. And in the moments leading up to, I mean, the milliseconds leading up to the shots, you see him react in a way and then pull. He was on glass.
Yeah, so he was on glass, and right before the shooter took a shot, he came off glass. And the only speculation I have is what was being reported to him was the wrong building of where the shooter was. So I believe, and this is his perception now, is he was looking further away. So he could have had his scope dialed in to 10 power, and he might not have been able to see him until he came off glass. He could see him with the naked eye.
And if you've ever done anything with a scope, if you've ever done scope hunting or anything like that, you understand clearly that you're looking at an area that is so focused in. Sometimes you don't have an idea of where that is in the big picture, right? And so it's possible that he knew somebody was there. He couldn't get him, had to come up and get a wide field of vision, and then get back on glass. And then, because those were the guys that shot and killed him, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys, and I'm going to ask you one final thing on that. Are you concerned at all? Does it enter your field of vision at all that some of this lack of focus or intensity was intentional?
Man, I really, really hope not.
Yeah.
That's something I got to take to my heart and really hope
it's a dark
case.
place.
It's hard not to think it, but
it's crossed my mind, but I really don't want to believe that.
right.
But
I don't think anybody wants to believe that, because that would mean, the fallout from that would be awful.
Right. I mean, and I hate it. And when Brink came in, we talked about the failures before shots were fired, right? And those planning failures were obvious. And so I was trying to give benefit of the doubt to the Secret Service. I was like, well, at least they responded well right after. No, they didn't. It was awful. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because you guys understand this training. They kept the protectee on the X for almost a minute, right?
Yeah.
Explain to people who maybe didn't hear our conversation last Monday what that means.
So let's just use an ambush, for instance, and this could be considered one. So if you're in an ambush situation and you're on the X where you're getting engaged by enemy fire or whatever, you need to get off of that target area as quick, as fast as possible. And what they did, as Trump got shot at, they kept him there. not knowing if I know they got a thing that the shooter was down, but they don't know if he's the only one or not. They need to get him off that target area as fast as possible. Get him in that vehicle. And that vehicle, as soon as he got in there, my opinion, he should have been out of there. 100 miles an hour, get him out of there. And they should have had a pre-plotted site, 2 or 3 of them, for him to go to after that, for that situation.
We saw a lot, and Gloria, a lot has been made of this. And I specifically mentioned to Brink, I was like, I'm talking to a guy who his first 2 important hires for Defense Systems, which I consider to be the best life safety and security consultation firm in the United States of America. The first 2 hires were female hires, Tracy Mendenhall and you.
Correct.
So
It's because Adam wasn't available yet.
I was trying to come around.
So, but a lot of concern and criticism has gone toward the 2 female officers.
Yeah, well, it's certainly the one.
And the lack of finding the holster is one thing, but then the decision that I didn't really want to holster my gun to begin with, right? Like,
how about before that happened, the picture of when they have, dogpiled him on the edge.
And she's behind.
And she's by herself.
Crouching, doing nothing.
Yeah. It's not a good look.
Well, and this goes to, you hire people for their abilities, regardless of their gender.
Absolutely.
Right? Regardless of their background. You hire them for what they can do for you and accomplish for you. But if your first priority is, and it seems like this was a directive on the part of the head of the Secret Service, if your first priority is to hire diversity first, forget about abilities. If Adam is there and he has the best of abilities, but if I'm worried about gender diversity and I'm going to hire somebody else above Adam because they are a different sex than Adam, then sometimes this is what you get. You get less able people, less capable people involved in a situation, and everything's fine until it's not.
And you got to think, like, Adam and I have had conversations about this offhand, and I'm like the world's worst feminist, so could probably make a lot of women mad by some of my opinions. But we even talk about in the SF world, letting women into that space. Not just are they capable, but what does it do to the team dynamic? Are they going to be able to execute the mission as well? Because now there's guys that are treating this person as their little sister instead of their teammate, just because that's naturally what happens in relationships, right? But I'm with you. You put it simply, take it out of the scope of what happened on Saturday. If I'm going in for a surgery, I want the best surgeon available to me to get that surgery done. I don't care what they look like or what gender they are. I just want them to be the best surgeon. So it just doesn't make sense.
Well, and it goes back to something as simple as this. If your protectee is 6'3", you can't have a 5'4" person protecting that. It makes it a lot more difficult. And and then there's nothing against the 5'4" people, but you have to.
There's guys that are 5'4" too.
That's exactly right.
Facts, stats are stats.
And you have to look at the 5'4" guy and say, look,
sorry, you're vertically challenged.
Yeah, but we have to have somebody else on the front lines. You can go do something else.
Hey, go be the best driver over here or something. But
exactly right. But you can't be that person. And sadly, that's kind of what we all witnessed.
A whole bunch of short people hate.
Here we go.
Little tiny legs and little bitty feet. They drive little bitty cars. They go beep, beep, beep. Don't need no short people around here. One more time, because we've got to go. One more time on the Defense Systems event tomorrow.
Yes. So it's at Long Hollow Church, and it is from 6 to 8 p.m. And you can go to our website, defensesystems.com, to register, and we absolutely would love to see you and all of your friends and all your family there.
We would love to see you there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Adam. Thanks for all of your expertise. We appreciate you. I'm so proud to be affiliated with Defense Systems. Go over there and go to the event tomorrow night. It's 53 after the hour on Super Talk. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to spend a moment telling you about Your Health Plan Man and everything they've done for my family and what I believe that they can do for yours. Your Health Plan Man is Pat Davis. Pat Davis and Your Health Plan Man wants to help you figure out what your insurance options are without regard for a particular insurance company, and that's the best thing that they bring to the table. He is not selling you an insurance product from one particular company. He's looking at all of the companies and finding what is right for you. He is your personal healthcare concierge. Did you know that there's an inexpensive alternative for those without a health plan? Pat Davis and yourhealthplanman.com, their team offer those great alternative plans. Do you own a business, but you've not been able to offer your employees a health plan? There is an inexpensive plan available for you. Do you provide a health plan for your employees, but you want a more conservative health plan with better benefits? 40 to 70% less monthly? We're talking about less money out of your pocket for you and your employees when you use the plan. These plans are little known due to Obamacare and certain regulations, but Pat Davis knows all about it, and he wants to offer them to you. Call Pat Davis and his team today. They have 30-plus years experience with insurance planning. Call 855-4PLAN-MAN, 855-4PLAN-MAN. It's yourhealthplanman.com, yourhealthplanman.com.
It's 1 o'clock. I'm Don Michael with your top stories. Mostly sunny and 93 degrees. Your weather forecast is coming up. In the wake of recent rulings by the Supreme Court, especially the ones overturning Roe versus Wade and one broadening presidential immunity, the president is reportedly considering sweeping changes to the court.
I guess that's my cue. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 1:02. So I guess I have to do this and go right back to John Michael. That's my bad because I was running so late. We're going to preview what we're doing in the next hour of the show and the following hour. We got 2 more hours to go. Rudy Kalis is coming up in hour number 3 of the show. Rudy is a known sportscaster in town for years. He was the go-to guy in terms of sports. He is involved with Men of Valor, and I'm so proud to be a part of the Men of Valor organization. They have a big event coming up next week that we want to make you aware of, and we want to talk about his efforts inside of men's prisons to reduce recidivism and do God's work inside of those facilities. We'll talk to him at 2 o'clock. In about 5 minutes, we're going to talk to Courtney Johnston. She is in the House. She is running for the 5th Congressional District in the primary, happening August 1st. Voting's happening right now, and we'll talk to Courtney in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 1:02. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Mostly sunny and 93 degrees. Your weather forecast is coming up. In the wake of recent rulings by the Supreme Court, especially the ones overturning Roe versus Wade and one broadening presidential immunity, the president is reportedly considering sweeping changes to the court. Karen Travers has more.
President Biden is said to be seriously considering calling for major changes to the Supreme Court in the coming weeks, including introducing proposals for legislation to establish term limits for the justices and an enforceable ethics code. That's according to a source briefed on the plans. The president said to be also seriously considering calling for a constitutional amendment to eliminate broad immunity for presidents and other constitutional office holders. Of course, none of these proposals are things the president could do on his own.
It is believed that the next president may have the opportunity to appoint 2 new justices because of retirement. It was a deadly day on Old Hickory Lake on Tuesday night. According to the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, at about 4:30 p.m., deputies responded to the area of Creighton Lane on Old Hickory Lake to reports of a jet ski crash. A juvenile was found critically injured at the scene of the crash, according to the Wilson County Sheriff's Office. According to WSMV, the TWRA said one jet ski was driven by a 19-year-old female staff member from Boxwell Reservation, a nearby Boy Scout campground. A 10-year-old boy was riding as her passenger when they crashed into another jet ski, also with the campground staffer operating and a juvenile passenger aboard. Both the 19-year-old female staffer and the 10-year-old boy were seriously injured in the collision. She was transported to Vanderbilt for treatment. The boy was taken to Wilson County Hospital, where he later died. Online shoppers are expected to spend $14 billion on Amazon this Prime Day, a new record for the company. Mike Dabuski has more.
Electronics drove much of the consumer spending on Amazon during day 1 of the company's Prime Day sale. Video games and small kitchen appliances were also popular. Adobe Analytics finds 7.5% of consumers opted to pay for their purchase using a buy now, pay later system. That's up more than 17% over last year. Tuesday was also the biggest day for online shopping on a mobile device this year, accounting for $3.5 billion in spending.
Other online companies have offered deals today to piggyback with Amazon's Prime Day. Weather is next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. I want to talk to you for a moment about your personal safety. We've been talking a lot about violence over the last several days, rightly so, considering the assassination attempt against Donald J. Trump. Crime is up in the city of Nashville and the surrounding communities as well. Sad to say, but it is a fact. You need to protect yourself. You need to protect your family, and you need to do so with Nashville Safe House. It is a part of that overall protection plan that you have something that protect those things that protect your family from the unfortunate crime that is going around our communities, and it could come to your doorstep at any moment. So how do you do that? You go to Nashville Safe House. You pick up a wonderful safe from Nashville Safe House. I'm not here to scare you. Mark's not here to scare you, but it is the ultimate line of defense from someone coming in and stealing your valuables. Obviously, you want to protect those guns that protect you and your family, but you also want to protect your jewelry, your other sentimental values, and these types of things. And you can do that through theft or fire. Those things, you could lose them without a safe from Nashville Safe House. Nashville Safe House has a better selection of any safe company in the United States of America, and I challenge you to tell me I'm wrong. They have regularly 600 safes total, about 200 or so on the showroom floor, another 400 in stock, ready to go, and they don't let a third party deliver your safe. Their own employees deliver your safe. That's the way to get it done. As Mark says, don't let a crackhead deliver your safe. You get it done from the professionals at Nashville Safe House. NashvilleSafeHouse.com, across the street from City Cemetery. Go by and see them on 4th Avenue South. All right, here we are. Here we go. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Getting hour number 2 started a little bit tardy. That is on me. I apologize for that. Running late already. Thank you for joining us during the Libertarian Lunchtime Hour. We had Gloria and Adam from Defend Systems offering some expertise regarding what happened this past Saturday, and also an opportunity for you to join them at Long Hollow Church tomorrow night. More on that at defensesystems.com. We are comprehensively covering so many different things, and it's a gusher, right? I mean, we can't possibly get to everything. We're covering the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Should have been in Nashville, but more on that later. We're covering the assassination attempt of the President of the United States. There are new news coming out today that the family called police at some point during the afternoon on Saturday. Now, I want to walk you through a scenario that might have been the case, because we were saying, oh my goodness, were the parents suspicious? Did they know something? And I understand that's where our heads immediately go. But I think it is equally likely that, and one of our alert listeners brought this up to me, son borrows rifle, has done it many times before. He's been gone a little longer than he normally is. Parents call on the cell phone. He doesn't answer on the cell phone. They call the shooting club. No, we haven't seen him today. At that point, they call the cops. I mean, so it's possible that the parents did all of this without any knowledge of what was going on, without any even speculation as to the possibility that he could have been a part of this. It could be a matter of didn't get him on the cell phone, called the shooting club. He's not here. Oh, my goodness. Something else is going on. Our son doesn't lie to us. So we'll cover all of that moments from now. We're also covering local races. I mean, we've got a lot of local races that are impacting our community, and these things are coming around the bend in 13 days, coming to a culmination. Early voting is happening right now, and with that in mind, we have welcomed one of the candidates for the 5th Congressional District in studio with us, and she's graciously agreed. It is Courtney Johnston, and she's joining us in studio to talk about her run for the 5th Congressional District. Hello. I think I said, did I say Gloria? I said Courtney. Courtney Johnston.
Hello.
I'll get it right in a second. It's been a heck of a week already. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing well. How's the campaign going?
The campaign is going fantastic. We have had so much interest and enthusiasm, momentum. Fundraising has been amazing. 99% of it within Tennessee. I'm very proud of that. Just very humbled by the amount of support that we've received. So we are excited, full throttle through August 1st.
What led to your decision? And for those that don't know, Courtney has been on the Metro Nashville Council for how long now?
5 years.
How's that been, by the way?
That has been very, very frustrating. I am one of, this term, probably there's maybe 2 or 3 other Republicans on that 40-person body. So it can be very, very frustrating at times, but it has been truly an honor, and I have enjoyed being able to serve my community. We've been able to get some really meaningful things done countywide, but also in the district. Our infrastructure was in need of decades of neglect, and so meaningful work has been done, and I'm very, very proud of it.
Are you in favor of, I haven't heard you comment on this, I'm sure you have, are you in favor of the reduction of the council from 40 to 20 or against it?
I think most people are in favor of the reduction. That we are a different city than we were in 1963. I think the pushback is just the forcing of it coming from the state. They want to be able to do it themselves. The problem is that we've tried it ourselves twice before and failed. And so from a logistics perspective, 40 people is a lot. There's a lot of complication that goes into that. And it's not a part-time position anymore. I ran in 2019 saying, I'm setting aside my career because I think this city needs and my district needs full-time attention, from infrastructure to public safety to fiscal policy. And it's really hard to do that on a $21,000 salary a year, but I felt it was that important to do it. And so I think if you reduce the number of people, you can get some more full-time people with more of a full-time compensation to make it tenable, so that we can get some good attention and on the needs of this city, which are great.
I imagine as you campaign in the 5th Congressional District, some that know your history with the Metro Council might try to overlay some of the actions of the council on you. And
yes.
How do you respond when somebody says, well, the council did this or the council did that?
Sure.
You're a part of the council, so you're responsible for that. How do you respond to that?
Sure. Guilty by association. I would say that's nonsense. I have had to choose my battles very, very wisely on that council. We've got a lot of activists, especially in the areas of LGBTQ, which I have been slammed on for some of those votes. Lots of non-binding resolutions that mean nothing, and they're not worth the paper they're written on. They have nothing to do with policy. Local government has no purview in any of those social partisan issues that those resolutions take up. And so if I'm going to set aside my career to focus on the true needs of the city, which is public safety, fiscal responsibility, infrastructure, managing, our growth, I need to be effective in those areas. And if I fight them on those things, I'm going to lose anyway. I would likely be the only no vote. So I lose the battle and I lose the war. Mm-hmm. So I've strategically chosen my battles there, and I obviously wisely, because I've been very, very effective on this council and proud of the work that we've done.
So I want to play, Belle, you got the ad up. I want to play the ad. You've got this running on television stations all across Middle Tennessee. I want to play it for the folks. I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the pointed accusations that you make toward Congressman Andy Ogles, why you believe you are a better choice for the 5th Congressional District. Let's play the ad.
Andy Ogles wants another 2 years in Washington? What's he done with the last 2? I'm Courtney Johnston. I'm running for Congress because do-nothing Republicans are letting us down. Andy Ogles gets nothing done. He hasn't led on border security. He hasn't led on inflation.
Courtney Johnston, conservative outsider, taking on career politicians to stop Biden's border invasion and lower our cost of living.
We need a conservative who leads and wins. I'm Courtney Johnston, and I approve this message.
You specifically bring up in that ad immigration issues and border security issues. And I want to preface this by saying I don't know you well, but I like you. I like the work that you've done on the council. I like that we have a more conservative voice on the council, on the Metro Council. I'm not taking any position on the race necessarily, but I want voters to make informed decisions and to find the best person for them to represent the 5th Congressional District. But what would you have done differently over the last 2 years to accomplish that which you accuse Andy Ogles of not accomplishing?
I would have focused in on the needs of the country. We spent a month without a Speaker of the House. Total chaos. Andy Ogles has spent more time fighting other Republicans than he has fighting for his district or getting anything constructive done, right? We could have been looking at how can we have meaningful legislation that's actually going to move the needle in the right direction on the border, and instead we're fighting amongst ourselves.
Yeah, but I mean, any learned person who understands the lay of the land understands that even if we saw things passed in the House and they just go to the Senate to die. I mean, we understand that whomever you're talking about, Andy Ogles, Mike Johnson, Kevin McCarthy, Matt Gaetz, none of those Republicans have gotten anything done over the. I mean, so aren't you casting an accusation toward every Republican in the House?
Some of them, but right now I'm running against Andy Ogles. I would also say that he's been ineffective in the district as well. He's been completely gone. I mean, people haven't seen him. He hasn't brought any resources to the district. We are growing exponentially in this area. And it's not just Davidson County. It's Murray County, Marshall, Lewis, Wilson especially. There are needs that come along with that growth, and the federal government is integral in that. The third largest source of revenue in Nashville's budget anyway, in Davidson County, are federal grants, and I assume that that's pretty similar across the 6 districts that encompass the Tennessee's 5th Congressional District. So who's up there fighting to make sure that we're getting the dollars that we need for infrastructure, for roads, for water, sewer, education, healthcare, all of those things? We've got real needs.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but are you saying the answer comes in the form of borrowing more money and bringing it in from the feds?
No, but
because that's all borrowed money against our grandchildren.
Well, you are correct. We have a spending problem. Absolutely.
But you talked about getting money from the federal government.
Right, but how does that money's going somewhere. That money's going somewhere, and it
doesn't have to go somewhere. If we have enough conservatives that say no, we don't need to spend this money anywhere anymore. I mean, I feel like we have too many conservatives.
But we need to spend the money in the United States and supporting the districts and the people that are already here.
We don't need to spend money that we don't have, do we?
I don't disagree with that, but we still have to support our districts. And so I'm fully in support of a balanced budget amendment. Mm-hmm. They don't have a budget. Nashville passes a balanced budget. Every municipality in Tennessee passes a balanced budget. Why? Because the state legislature forces us to by law. And so that's our backstop, is that protection. The federal government doesn't have that. So we do have to take a hard look at what money we are spending, absolutely, and get some people that are going to roll their sleeves up and understand budgets that may hopefully have a background in finance, that have our priorities straight to say, how much money do we have? How much money should we be spending? Mm-hmm. And really focus in on cutting spending, paying off debt, and being much more fiscally responsible, just like I have advocated for those policies in Nashville, Tennessee.
You bring up immigration in the piece. Is that the number one priority for Courtney Johnston? If so, tell me why it's number one and what comes next in your focus on the 5th District.
It's my priority, and I think it's the priority of the constituents in the 5th Congressional and across the country. If we don't have a border, we don't have a country. We have people flooding across the border. We have a fentanyl issue. I spoke with the Wilson County Sheriff's Department. He went down there. He said nothing that you see on TV will actually do it justice, what's going on down there. Mm-hmm. We have no idea who's coming across this border. We have to secure the border, and it's an easy fix. I don't care if we have to send the military down there. It'd be fixed in about 30 minutes. The only reason that it hasn't been fixed is because of pure politics. It's disgusting. People are dying. We have terrorists coming across. We have the getaways, or the gotaways, whatever they call them. We have no idea how many people are coming across the border. And I'm not interested in closing the border. We have industry, especially in Tennessee, in agriculture, that depend on immigrant workers. But we need to know who's coming here, why, what they're doing, where they are.
Do you think they depend on illegal alien labor?
No. But they depend on immigrant
some
workers.
Of them do.
Probably.
I mean, Tyson Foods is a good example. I don't think there's any question.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. So that we need to fix that, obviously.
Right.
But we depend on immigrant workers. We are a nation of immigrants. And we've got industry, like I said, that is very, very dependent on it. Agriculture is huge in Tennessee's 5th Congressional District and Tennessee as a whole. It ought to be really, really important to our nation. It's our food. Everything you put in your mouth, everything you put on your body comes from agriculture. So we've got to start focusing in on that. But we need to secure the border and reform immigration.
So we'll take a quick time out. We've got Courtney Johnston in with us. She's running in the 5th Congressional District. I love it. I mean, I think competition is a wonderful thing, particularly in these primaries. And I want you to be as best informed as you can be as a 5th Congressional District voter as to who your best options are, and then vote accordingly now or by August 1st. We'll be back with Courtney in just a moment on Super Talk. You know, U.S. Pest, U.S. right there in the name, J.K. Brister, Erica Brister, they are owners of U.S. Pest. Had J.K. in yesterday. What a great American he is. He believes in this country. He believes in the free market, and he believes that he is the best pest control service anywhere in Middle Tennessee, and I can tell you, I believe it too. That's why I talk about him all the time. U.S. Pest can come in and attack those, but I always call them little communist. They're coming from outside, and they want what's yours. They want to share and share life. Maybe socialist, the bugs, the roaches, the spiders, they want what's yours, and they're going to come in and they're going to take it if you allow that to happen. U.S. Pest is your protection, your barrier against all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, go to uspest.com. That's uspest.com. You'll see it right there. They'll come in. They'll give you a free inspection. They don't hard sell you. I know from personal experience, before I even started talking about US Pest, Jesse, one of the team members, came to my front door, talked to me about it. Wasn't a hard sell. It was just helping me out with a free inspection. I love it. You'll love it too. Free inspections at uspest.com. That's uspest.com or 590-1260. Call them today.
Another high-ranking Democrat calls on Biden to drop out, and a deadly jet ski crash on Old Hickory Lake. Those stories coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and Courtney Johnston, who's running for the 5th Congressional District. Courtney Johnston with us in studio, and we are just, please mute Courtney's mic. I don't know what that means. Oh, I don't know what that means. I guess it was on for a minute. It wasn't on during the break, though. Courtney, we talked about immigration. And we've talked about what you describe as the failures of Congressman Andy Ogles. And once again, I'm here to present the information, lay it on the table, and let the voters decide. I think you would say the same. What's number 2 on the list? If immigration is your number 1 as you canvass the 5th District, what's number 2?
Well, you brought up spending. We've got an inflation problem. We've got a cost of living problem, and a lot of it is because of the policies that the federal government has. We are spending way too much money. The debt is untenable at this point. We need energy independence. I think that's a cause of problem as well, so we've got to focus in on that. But look, this election is about character, integrity, and effectiveness.
There's a reason why people don't trust the government, and it's because there's people that are serving in the government that are untrustworthy. If you don't have trust, you don't have friendships, you don't have marriages, you don't have work relationships, you're not going to go to a church with a pastor that you don't trust. Like, everything is based on trust, and I don't trust Andy Ogles, and I think a lot of people don't trust Andy Ogles. He has proven to be someone that cannot tell the truth and without integrity, and that's not the kind of person that I want representing me. I certainly want someone to do the job, be present in the district, have relationships with constituents, have relationships with other leaders to understand the needs throughout the district, which are vast, from corner to corner, which is kind of a crazy district, so that you know how to support the district from the federal level. But it really is about who is there for the right reasons. He's been chasing public office for 22 years. I got into public service in 2019 because my district needed me. We needed better representation. We needed infrastructure. The county needed public safety. We needed fiscal responsibility. That's why I got into public service. That's where my heart is public service. I want to make a difference.
You seem, and I'm not coming at you when I say this, but you seem to want to hold Andy accountable for things that potentially are out of his control. He's one of 435, and half of a congressional body, half of which is controlled by Democrats, and then you have a Democrat in the White House. So, I mean, there's not a lot that's going to get accomplished over the last 2 years. I have found in my 25 years of doing this, there are two reasons that people go to the polls and vote for someone. One is that they really hate the other person, and you focused on reasons why you should not like Andy Ogles. Do you stand by your record at the Metro Council, though? I mean, tell me why people should support Courtney Johnston based on your record as a council person.
Because I've been effective and I've gotten meaningful things done in the
Tell
arenas.
Me, what's number one? What's
LPRs.
the number one thing that
License
you've
plate
done?
readers.
Yeah.
And I know you don't like them.
Small libertarian, but that's fine.
Right,
that's fine.
right.
That's fine.
But
No, but that's fair. A lot of conservatives do. A lot of conservatives, they love them.
When I served, the first thing that I did when I was elected was went to the police department. What do you need? Number one function of government is public safety, and the police department carries out that function. What do you need? And they said, we need LPRs. We don't have enough police officers in this county, really anywhere, to respond to the needs of the community. And so we're going to have to rely on technology. We need license plate readers. So it took me 2.5 years, and I encourage you, especially Matt, as a libertarian that's very concerned about privacy, because I understand that is a concern. My policy is incredibly restrictive. In fact, I would put it up against any other policy as it relates to license plate readers throughout the country. But I'm very proud of that. I didn't give up. It typically takes about a month and a half for an ordinance to pass the council. It took me 2.5 years. I was not going to give up because I knew that was going to be a meaningful, positive change and impact on this county as it relates to public safety. You turn on the news, what is going on? They're still not implemented. Why are they still not implemented? Well, I don't know, Freddie O'Connell, honestly.
Right.
I mean,
he's holding it up.
He ran saying, "Oh well, I'm for them," but he voted for them against them every single time, and that's why they're not implemented yet. But I'm looking forward to that happening because it is going to make a difference. Mount Juliet, Lebanon, Brentwood, Belmead, they all enjoy that technology. So that's meaningful change that I've been able to get done as a Republican on that liberal council. Fiscal policy and just very, very meaningful things that are going to have a positive impact on the people that live, work, and play here.
I'm getting asked, quite a few people on the membersnutrition.com super text line are asking me to ask you about your stand on the Second Amendment and whether or not you feel like that's been fairly represented as a member of the Metro Council.
It has not. And all that comes from, first of all, the local government has nothing to do with gun rights at all. In 2 years ago, after the Uvalde shooting, I wrote an open letter to Governor Lee asking for a special session, which he did after Covenant. And I brought the letter for you just because I knew this was going to come up. So I think people are saying, oh, she wrote a letter about gun control. It's specifically not about gun control, but we can do more about education around gun safety. We could do more around mental health. We can do more around hardening the infrastructure of our schools to protect our children with SROs, with ballistic film. There's many tools that we could be using, and we're refusing to talk about it. It's not about gun control. I have 2 guns myself. My husband has more than that.
If you come to my house and you're breaking in the house, it's going to be a bad day for you. Okay, it's not about gun control at all, but we can do more around education around gun safety. There's lots of gun related deaths just based off of not storing your guns safely. We have hundreds of guns that are stolen out of vehicles just in Davidson County alone every month. And who do you think's stealing those guns? It's not somebody that's wanting to protect themselves.
You write here in the letter dated June 12 of 2022 to Governor Lee, I'm asking you as a fellow Tennessean, as a representative of my district in Davidson County, as a human being, to call a special legislative session to focus on the area of gun rights and responsibilities, mental health, and school security. What do you mean when you say gun rights and responsibilities with regard to the state of Tennessee?
I feel like I know that it is my right to carry a gun, but that with that right comes responsibility to handle that gun in a safe manner, to know how to use it, to know how to store it. That's just a basic,
should there be required training on the part of the state?
I wouldn't mind it, honestly. I don't like regulation. I don't like forcing things, but it would be nice to have people understand how to safely use a gun, how to safely store a gun, and we don't have any of those requirements. It takes more to get a driver's license.
Let's suspend it. Can you stick around for a little while longer? You got to go somewhere? Sure. Okay, so we got Courtney Johnston on. We get to the news right now. I'm very late. I apologize to John Michael. We'll be back in a moment with a good conversation going with Courtney Johnston, who's running for the 5th Congressional District. It's 1:33.
It's 1:33. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Sun and a pleasant 89 degrees. Full forecast in 2 minutes. A top Democratic lawmaker is calling for President Biden to step out of the presidential race. White House correspondent Karen Travers has details and explains why this is significant.
California Congressman Adam Schiff is calling on President Biden to drop his reelection bid, saying in a statement it is time for him to, quote, pass the torch. Schiff, who's running for the Senate in California, said by doing so, the president will, quote, secure his legacy of leadership by allowing us to defeat Donald Trump in the upcoming election. Schiff, who led the first impeachment inquiry into Trump, said there is only one singular goal, defeating Trump, saying, quote, the stakes are just too high.
There are now 21 Democrats in Congress calling on President Biden to end his reelection campaign. At about 4:30 Tuesday, deputies responded to the area of Creighton Lane on Old Hickory Lake to reports of a jet ski crash. A juvenile was found critically injured at the scene of the crash, according to the Wilson County Sheriff's Office. According to WSMV, the TWRA said one jet ski was driven by a 19-year-old female staff member from Boxwell Reservation, a Boy Scout campground. A 10-year-old boy was riding as her passenger when they crashed into another jet ski, also with a campground staffer and a juvenile passenger aboard. The 19-year-old female staffer and the 10-year-old boy were seriously injured in the collision. She was transported to Vanderbilt for treatment. The boy was taken to Wilson County Hospital, where he later died. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
So I reached back behind me right before I started talking with you to grab this little bag that I got from Holly over at Savory Spice. She gave me a brand new product. You got the cameras rolling here, Bel K? Maybe not. I don't know. One way or the other, we got the new Spice and Easy product.
Turn it around.
It's a brand new. There it is. Brand new Spice and Easy product. Limited time, just for the summer. It's a Greek tzatziki, hard for me to say, dip. That I'm going to be enjoying at some point down the road in the near future. They tell you, these are the Spice and Easy containers that I tell you about all the time, whether it's meals or dips or soups or sauces. They make it so easy. All the spices are right here in here, so you don't have to worry about them, right? So you don't have to know your way around the kitchen to know your way around Spice and Easy with Savory Spice. Holly and David are locally locally owned. I love these guys. You can find them in Franklin, just off the square next to Gray's Pharmacy. They're also in L&L Market in Nashville. And those that know to go to Savory Spice. Also, I would just note, there are some other high-end spice companies that simply don't reflect your values. And I'm not going to name names during this ad, but I'll tell you this. Those high-end spice companies that don't reflect your values, they don't like you very much. They don't like conservatives very much. Holly and David want to see everybody and anybody at Savory Spice. Stop by today. Tell them I sent you to Savory Spice. Grab some of these Spice and Easy products. You'll be glad you did. Savory Spice in Franklin and Nashville. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is Matt Murphy and the Matt Murphy Show. You can join us on the membersnutrition.com super text line. Really, if you have any questions for Courtney Johnston, she's in studio with us for one more segment. We'd love to hear from you. She is running for the 5th Congressional District against Congressman Andy Ogles, who is attempting a second term in that post. Primary season is upon us. Voting is happening as we speak, right?
Yes.
I'm consistently amazed with the state. I mean, I should know because I've been here almost 3 years now, but it's still, I don't want to say amusing, but it's odd to me that we do the early voting and then we shut early voting down before voting day. I don't know why exactly we do that, but that's what happens, right?
Yes.
Early voting until what, the 27th, I guess?
Correct.
And then you can't vote 28th, 29th, 30th, whatever, until the 1st.
Right.
And you want people to go vote, I imagine.
I do. I want them to vote for me. Just to be clear.
Speaking of votes, this is not a setup in any way, but you talk about character and honesty. Mm-hmm. On the Metro Council, do you regret any of your votes?
I don't, because again, I had to choose my battles strategically. And had I voted against the social, very partisan issues, when it came to policy, when it came to allocating dollars, I voted against it. They voted to take money away from, I think it was 14 of our departments, and the biggest hit came from the police department in order to give Planned Parenthood, I think it was $150,000. I voted against it. I argued against it. I had a pretty dang good argument, I think. I know. And I still failed. So when it's meaningful, I'm going to fight against it. If it's a non-binding resolution that's not worth the paper it's written on, it could be, transition lens day. I mean, it means nothing. Chocolate ice cream day.
Mm-hmm.
It means nothing.
Do you think it means something to pass things like the Transgender Day of Remembrance on the part of the Metro Council? Didn't you co-sponsor that?
So the co-sponsor thing is when someone stands up at the end of the discussion and says, I would like for everyone voting in the affirmative to be listed as a sponsor. So it puts everybody in a weird position. So that doesn't mean that I go, I think I'm going to co-sponsor this because it's a great idea.
But you brought up the National Eyeglasses Day. I mean, so you don't think anything of voting for things like National Transgender Day of Remembrance?
When I have to do that in order to be effective on the things that matter, I really don't feel like I have a choice.
Isn't that compromising your values?
It's not compromising my values if it's not a changing policy, if it's not allocating dollars.
But this was after Covenant that you voted this way.
Okay.
Right? So we knew there were major questions about this individual that identified as transgender and what was not going on.
Yeah, I don't even know what that
Center.
means. The fact of the matter is she was crazy and she was evil. That's what went into that school.
And was she under the influence of some sort of drugs as prescribed by the Vanderbilt Medical Center that they're not telling us about?
Right.
All of those questions were hovering over this when you voted for transgender. I mean, I'm not trying to come at you. I'm just saying you brought up these votes that don't seem to matter, but don't they matter? I mean, aren't you taking a stand? I mean, what are you getting in return from these liberals on the Metro Council that is so important that you would vote in this way?
Well, they listen to me when I stand up and talk about public safety and fiscal responsibility. Again, I've gotten meaningful things done.
But LPRs are still not a reality.
True.
How are they listening to you then?
Well, because the mayor is holding it up, but the ordinance passed. They were preemptively banned in 2017, and they are not banned anymore, and we have a policy around them. We're just waiting for implementation.
I mean, you're talking about a little bit of quid pro quo. That's fine. I understand that politics, that's a reality. So I'm asking if you're doing a little this for that when it comes to these things that don't matter, like National Pride Month is another one, right?
Right.
I mean, that's fair. Is that not fair? You rolled your eyes. Is that not fair for me to bring up?
Yeah, because I'm rolling my eyes because it's just nonsense. I mean,
Yeah, but what? All right. So if it's nonsense and you do it to get something in return, I'm asking you, Courtney, what did you get in return?
I got in return the ability to get meaningful things done, which I have been able to do. I would not be sitting in this chair running for Congress if I was ineffective on the Metro Council.
Tell me, all right, so outside of LPRs, what have you gotten done?
So we pushed across fiscal policy that had it been in place, we would never have been in a situation to contemplate a 34% tax increase. The vast majority of the new money from that property tax increase went into a savings account because we had completely depleted it over the course of however many years because there was no policy around required reserves as a percentage of operating budget, as a debt limits.
But they're still taking the money. They're still taking the money, though.
We have reserves.
What I'm saying is, I understand what you're saying about fiscal responsibility, but if you accomplish that goal, shouldn't you rescind the property tax increase and send the money back to the taxpayer? But they're never going to do that.
They're never going to do that.
So they don't. My point of these Democrats, they never give you that. You get the quid pro quo. You get the quid, you don't get the quo.
Well, I will tell you, right? I voted against that tax increase, and I stand by that vote to vote against the tax increase. It's the only time we've ever had that come across in 5 years that I've served for a property tax, and I voted against it. We are in a very good financial position. Granted, it's on the backs of businesses and residents, obviously, here, but our bond rating is as high as it can be. So when we borrow money, it's at the lowest amount possible. We're in a great financial position, agreed. But, so we did get that in return. Are they going to give the money back? No, that's not how that works. And it's unfortunate that we were in that situation.
So it occurs to me, and I'm this is just me and you talking, Courtney. I'm once again,
with thousands of people listening.
It occurs to me that a central part of your campaign is accusing Andy Ogles of being a do-nothing congressman. Mm-hmm. And I would challenge that you haven't gotten a lot done in the Metro Council either because Democrats. But Andy hasn't gotten a lot done in Congress because Democrats. Aren't these two situations the same?
Has he tried to get anything done? Because the legislation that I've seen, which, by the way, he's come across and said he's this, prolific legislator, he's sponsored 72 pieces of legislation, and I just checked it.
Yeah.
His mailer says over 100. None of the pieces of legislation that he has sponsored has passed. Things have passed that he has co-sponsored, and that is a very different thing. So again, telling something that's not the truth. What has he tried to do? While we could have been working on border security, while we could have been working on fiscal responsibility and having somewhere close to a better budget where we're a little bit more fiscally responsible, we're instead trying to oust McCarthy. For what? We don't have enough of a margin in the House.
Do you think McCarthy should still be Speaker of the House?
Yes. What's the difference between him and Mike Johnson? What did we get from that except for a month of chaos? Right? We don't have a big enough majority in the House to be fighting like that. We can't get things done in the House without Democrat support. So if that's the problem, they're talking with...
So we have to... Hold on. Wait a minute. So you said we have to have Democrats to help us get things done
in the House.
Congress.
That's a fact.
So you're going to work better with Democrats than Andy?
I'm going to work, period. I'm going to work for meaningful things to get meaningful things done. I'm results oriented. Am I going to tell you that I'm going to show up and within a month I'm going to secure the border and have a balanced budget and we're going to be completely out of debt?
Of course not.
No, absolutely not. But what I will tell you is those are my priorities, and I've proven myself as a workhorse. I get in there and I get things done. And I push back on the fact that you're saying that I haven't gotten meaningful things done or anything done on the Metro Council. There are people that would defy that very aggressively. I've gotten very meaningful
Courtney,
things done.
I'm not going after you. I'm just asking you what those things are.
Fiscal policy, public safety.
What fiscal policy did you get done?
So it was about a year and
the judgment of the Democrats.
Well, no, they ended up voting for it too. Obviously, we can't pass anything on Metro Council for sure.
All right, so fiscal policy, sure.
Yeah, there's been multiple things.
Just give me one specific piece of legislation that was championed by you that is now law.
License plate readers.
That's not happened yet.
But it's still law. The ordinance has passed.
Has it been implemented?
We have to legislatively approve contracts.
Okay, well, that's fair. I asked.
We have to legislatively approve the allocation of dollars, but the law has passed. So yes, I got that done, and that was me championing that.
There's no question.
The FOP would tell you, who has endorsed me. Every single lodge in the 5th Congressional District has endorsed me because they see I have pushed forth countless pieces of legislation in the vein of public safety, better pay, better quality of life. I support them unapologetically. That's huge for them to go against an incumbent.
No question.
And they know that they want somebody up there fighting for them and getting results. So that's why they're backing me.
Well, you have a lot of support in not just Davidson County, but the surrounding communities and encompassing the 5th Congressional District. How do people find out more about Courtney Johnston? I've enjoyed the conversation. I hope everybody has. If you missed any of it, we'll have it up on our podcast. Courtney, how can folks find out more about you?
Johnston for Congress. JohnstonforCongress.com.
Spell out for?
Yep. No, yes, spelled out for, sorry. Yes. Johnston with a T. Don't forget the T in my last name, for Congress, spelled out.com. You can email any questions that you have. But, again, I am conservative. I've been a conservative my whole life. I'm pro-life. I support the Second Amendment. I want secure borders. I want fiscal responsibility. I want support for the district. I want representation for the district. And I want somebody with character, integrity, and the ability to tell the truth. And that's what I offer.
Love it. Courtney, thank you for spending some time with us. I appreciate the spirited conversation. Courtney Johnston with us for the better part of an hour. It's 1:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Another high-ranking Democrat calls on Biden to drop out of the presidential race, and Trump's VP takes the stage tonight in Milwaukee. A high-tech safety system may be coming to a local school. We'll have those stories at 2 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7.
Only 8 teams left in the second annual Rudy Kalis Celebrity Golf Classic taking place this Monday, July 22nd. You want to be one of those teams, 4-person teams. I'm going to tell you how coming up at the 2 o'clock hour when we speak to Rudy Kalis, who is involved with the Men of Valor organization. We'll talk to Rudy about his career in Nashville, about his association with Men of Valor, and about the second annual Rudy Kalis Celebrity Golf Classic taking place this Monday. I'll be out there. I'll be out there from noon until 3. Now, as far as our conversation with Courtney Johnston goes, I have no dog in the 5th Congressional District fight. I have had well-documented, abrasive conversations with Andy Ogles. I've praised Andy when I believe he deserves it, and I've criticized him when I believe he deserves it. That's what I do for you. I'm not afraid. I mean, I don't believe that because you support somebody on one thing, that means that you necessarily have to support them on everything. I believe Courtney Johnston has done some good things on the Metro Council. But that doesn't mean that I also believe that she's done a few things that makes me scratch my head and want to find out more, to inform you, the voting public, so you can go out and make the best and informed decision for you and your family. I'm not here to support Andy, and I'm not here to support Courtney. I'm here to support you. But I do find it a little odd that Courtney can't understand why when she criticizes Andy for being a do-nothing congressman and he says, hey, there's only so much I can do. We got a bunch of Democrats up here, and we got Democrats in the Senate. We got a Democrat in the White House. And then I say, well, what have you accomplished as a Metro councilor? Well, there's only so much I can do. I got a bunch of Democrats. Isn't that the same thing? It's up to you to decide all of these things. I present it, and I believe in you and your intelligence to make a decision for yourself, particularly for those of you who live in the 5th Congressional District. Final hour coming up. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 2 o'clock exactly. Here's John Michael.
It's 2 o'clock on the dot. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Sun and 90 degrees. Your full forecast is in 2 minutes. Congressman Adam Schiff joins the calls for President Joe Biden to drop his re-election campaign. The California Democrat was lead prosecutor in the first impeachment trial against President Trump. Christian Cordero has more from Washington.
California Representative and Senate candidate Adam Schiff is sharing his, quote, serious concerns about whether President Joe Biden can defeat Donald Trump in November, calling on Biden to withdraw his candidacy. In a statement, Schiff said he believes it's time for Biden to pass the torch, adding, quote, and in doing so, secure his legacy of leadership by allowing us to defeat Donald Trump in the upcoming election, end quote. Schiff then noted he would support whoever the party officially nominates.
Tonight, the speeches continue at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. Donald Trump's newly minted running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, is slated to speak. Political analyst Catherine Falder says in the light of the attempted assassination of Trump, the rhetoric may be toned down.
As Trump's running mate, how does he continue that message of unity in his speech tonight? I was at this event yesterday with the RNC chair who was talking about how, yes, speeches are being edited. They are changing their message. How would you not want to change that after the events that happened last weekend? So I'm interested to see what he says.
Trump himself will address the convention Thursday. A gunshot sensor could soon be installed at one Rutherford County school. Rutherford County School Board is scheduled to take a vote tonight about whether or not to install a gunshot sensor at Central Magnet High School. The device detects sound that could potentially be gunshots and will tell the police the approximate area it came from, allowing for quicker responses to possible instances of gun violence. The wine business has not been aging well, and one major company is scaling back its operation. Brian Clark has more.
Pernod Ricard says its premium spirits like Absolut and Jameson drive the growth of its business. The French company is selling 10 of its wine brands to an Australian group. The brands include Jacob's Creek and Campo Viejo. The move comes as the world drinks less wine. An industry group said last year's consumption of wine fell to its lowest point in 27 years, while wine production hit its lowest level in more than 60 years.
Some of us are doing our best to help reverse that trend. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
Here we go. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you for being around. Thank you for being out there. Hour number 3 starts right now. They've been very quick shows this week. My goodness gracious, so much to get into. We've not yet covered the latest with regard to the shooting, the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. We will get into the latest coming up in about 10 or so minutes away. Be on the lookout for that. We'll also talk about what to anticipate on the third night of the Republican National Convention. That happens this evening with J.D. Vance taking the stage. Notice how many liberal media outlets are telling us that, well, it remains to be seen whether or not Donald Trump and J.D. Vance will commit to a voice of unity and togetherness and raising the level of the conversation. Why is it up to Donald Trump to do this? Joe Biden hasn't done it. Joe Biden, the day after the assassination attempt happened, sat down with Lester Holt and said that Donald Trump was a threat to democracy. And I don't even know what that means. But I'll hold off on all of that commentary coming up just a little bit later on as we continue the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A part of what I love, the most important part of my job, is being able to communicate with you on a day-to-day basis. And whether we meet one another via the radio or via Super Talk TV or our streaming platforms, or whether I get a chance to meet you in person, I love every single one of you. I don't care what your political beliefs are when I say that. And I want to help each of you in any way that I possibly can. And part of the great thing that I get to do on the regular, I get to meet good people who are trying to help other people and associate myself with organizations that I so believe in. One of those associations happened recently when I sat down with Raul and some of the other incredible people at the Men of Valor organization. I've been to both, two of their breakfasts now held annually at Music City Center in downtown Nashville. And when I went to the first one and I saw the wonderful God's work that they were doing, I said, I want these people in my life. I gave to them that day, and I've given to them since from a donation standpoint. And I said, I want a further association. And so when I was told that I had an opportunity to broadcast out at the Rudy Kalis Celebrity Golf Classic, it was just like an instant, yes, please, thank you, and more. And then I got a chance to meet Rudy himself. I know he doesn't remember this, but I got a chance to meet Rudy out at Roy's Meat Service as we were supporting Jeff Roy and everything that he's done for his community. Rudy Kalis joins us on the hotline to talk about the second annual Rudy Kalis Celebrity Golf Classic and everything that he is doing for and everything that Men of Valor is doing for our community. Rudy, good afternoon. Welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm just fine, Matt. Thank you. Awful nice of you to spend a little time with us. Appreciate it.
Well, it's absolutely my pleasure, and it's certainly God's work, what Men of Valor does for our community. Everybody knows your history in Nashville, Tennessee, from a sports perspective. Talk to us a little bit, for those who've never heard, how you became associated with Men of Valor. What drew you to this organization?
Well, it was about a month after I retired at the end of 2017, so it was like January 2018. I went to a speaking engagement, and a fella came up who had been an intern of mine 25 years ago. And I said, Tevin, what are you doing? He said, I work with Men of Valor, faith-based prison ministry. I said, sign me up. It just came out of the blue. It just hit me. I said, I got to do it. I had done a documentary on a man who committed murder some years ago. I covered a football game at the old Walls back in 1984 where the inmates were beating each other up. So I just said, do it. And he connected me, and I walked into a room full of guys. And the minute I walked in, I said, this is my world. These are my guys. I'm just so glad. I've met several guys that said I covered them when they played sports. I mentored a guy who was a Big Ten football player, Mr. Football Award winner. So apparently I had some street cred because they would all want to talk sports, but then we talk about faith and life.
You, you spent some time today, if I'm not mistaken, at a facility ministering. Did you not?
Yeah. I met. There are four guys there that I spent time with, and that I guess you could call it mentoring. But I spent time with three of them. I went to I did something in the morning, got out there about 10:30, and spent until 12 o'clock when they have to go to chow. So I do that on Wednesday. I'm there. I average at least 4 days a week that I'm in there. It's not all day, but 4 different events, 4 different times a week, and sometimes 5. I can go any day of the week that I want if a guy needs to talk.
Well, it's everything that I talk about what a partnership should be with a faith-based organization like Men of Valor and the state government. I mean, this is the way that we talk about doing it, and it works. Recidivism rates go down. When you reconcile men to God, when you reconnect them with their families, you help reconnect them with society. You know this far better than I do, Rudy, because you're in there and you're doing the work. It truly does become a ministry of hope. Would you not agree?
Yeah, you're completely right in that, Matt. I think if you change a man's heart, you can change his life.
Yes.
90% of the guys are going to get out. But then what kind of person's coming out? Who's going to move in next to me? If you change their heart and their life, and that's Men of Valor, providing them housing, helping them get jobs initially. There are guys who had, we had a guy that I was very close to, got out about 4 months ago. He'd been in prison 25 years. He couldn't believe how fast they drive. He had to have an 8-year-old girl help him at the Coke machine at a Wendy's. He didn't understand any of these things. And so if you can change that, provide them, get them started into that life, then the recidivism rate, as you so nicely said, is somewhere between 10 and 15% if they finish up the year at Men of Valor.
So talk to us about this second annual Rudy Kalis Celebrity Golf Classic. You got to be excited about it Monday, huh?
Well, I am. We did it last year, and they wanted to do it again. It turned out to be very successful, and had some very nice. Vince Gill has been just wonderful. I just love him. I've known him for 40 years, I guess, and such. But he immediately said yes, and then Jeff Fisher and some former Titans and such, and people to do that. And it's going to be out at the Hermitage Golf Course on the President's Retreat, which is both sides are great, but that's great. It'll be this coming Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning. We've still got some places. If somebody just goes to movministry.com, it takes you to the website for Men of Valor. You can immediately click on it. If you've still got guys that can play as a team, be great, or would like to do a sponsorship. One of the neatest things, Matt, is that we have a number of former guys who are in the program at Men of Valor. We had it last year, who were on almost each of the holes. And they would be so friendly talking to the guys. I had a lot of people, celebrities and others, said it blew their mind how personable and how thankful and cordial these guys were. And they were just so blown away by having some former Titans or people that they could talk to. It's a pretty neat experience.
Well, I am so pleased to say that we'll be out there. I'll broadcast my show from noon until 3. Obviously, the gang will already be on the golf course, 9 a.m. shotgun start. But we'll be talking to Rudy that day. I'm certain have a chance to sit down with Vince Gill. I'll tell you my quick story. I had first gotten to town. I first gotten into town probably 3 months. I got invited to be a part of a golf tournament. And you don't know when you come to Nashville, you don't realize the amount of celebrities that you'll be able to see on any given day, any given week, right, Rudy? I mean, you're used to it in your world where you're covering sports and all these things. And I'm standing there getting ready. We're all around. You know how it goes. You're standing around the golf cart, getting your glove out and doing all these things. And there's a guy standing next to me, and he's talking around. And I was like, that voice is familiar. And I look, and like 2 feet from me is Vince Gill. And he's like, what's going on, fellas? How's everything going? Everybody good? And I'm like, it's Vince Gill. So he's so good and so gracious with his time, as are all the celebrities that'll be out at the event Monday.
He really is. He's such a gentle soul. I just love him. He and I met on a golf course. I didn't know who he was. He walked over and said, "You mind if I play along with you?" And we played golf. And he said, "Yeah, I'm going to be interested in a little music and do some things." And it turns out to be Vince. But if you ever talk to him, which you probably saw that day, it's like you've known him forever. There's nothing big time about him at all, and yet he is one of the greatest.
Vince Gill, Derek Mason, George Plaster, Keith Bullock, of course, Jeff Fisher, and the one and only Rudy Kalis Monday. There are a few teams available. All you have to do is go to MOV Ministry or go to men-of-valor.org, men-of-valor.org, and you'll go right to the Men of Valor 2nd Annual Rudy Kalis Celebrity Golf Classic. Can't wait till Monday, Rudy. Anything else we need to know before we say goodbye? I'm so excited about Monday.
Well, that's really awful nice of you to be out there. I'm not going to play, so I didn't do it last year. I had more fun with my daughter. We just drove around, and I spent time with each team and just thanked them for being there. So I'll look forward to seeing you, but awfully, awfully kind of you to be able to spend a little time with us on Monday.
It is absolutely our pleasure. Registration breakfast begins at about 7:30 in the morning. And then the start of the tournament at 9 o'clock, and there'll be all kind of prizes, all kind of giveaways, competitive fun. There'll be silent auctions and contests and whatever. I'll make Rudy and I can do a putting contest out on the putt. We'll do anything y'all want us to raise money for the wonderful organization that is Men of Valor. So sign up for some more teams, and we'll see you out there on Monday. Rudy, we'll see you on Monday. I can't wait.
Thank you, Matt. You know what? The last thing I mentioned is I think the prizes are being made by inmates in prison. They're crafting some things that'll be given away. That'll be wonderful remembrances. I think people will love it.
Absolutely fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. All right.
Great.
So President's Reserve, Hermitage Golf Course. We'll see you on Monday, Rudy.
All right, Matt. You too. Thank you, my friend.
All right. Take care. There's Rudy Kalis. What a great voice.
Matt, I mean, Rudy's been in this city for decades. And I didn't know this, though. He was born in Germany, and he came to the United States at the age of 5 with his parents and spoke no English.
What?
Yeah.
That guy?
Yeah.
The guy I was just talking to?
Yep.
Rudy Kalis.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Had no clue about that, and he's been here for decades.
That's so cool. I mean, anybody mentions the name. I learned this, that if you mention the name Rudy Kalis, everybody knows who you're talking about. And everyone has mad respect for everything he did in the sporting community. And then, obviously everything he's doing for Men of Valor. So teams available. Guys, let me just speak to you for just a moment. Fellas or ladies, I want to fill this thing up. It's my first opportunity to be associated with Men of Valor. It's my first opportunity to be associated with the Rudy Kalis Celebrity Golf Classic. They'll never invite me back unless we fill this thing up. And we've got like 7 or 8 teams left out of a lot of teams because there's a lot of room for players on that golf course if you've ever been. So get 3 of your buddies, get signed up. If you're a boss, let your guys go out to this thing Monday and I mean, obviously pay for them to go out and do something for the local community. If you don't know anything about Men of Valor, if you just want to stop by the way, I was talking to Rudy, or no, I'm sorry, I was talking to Raul Lopez with Men of Valor. He goes, invite them. Anybody can stop by that wants to stop by, but you know, just remind them that lunch is for players because it's. And I was like, yeah, I get it. So lunch is for players. Or if you give a generous donation, I'll make sure that you get lunch on me. How about that? So Men of Valor, men-of-valor.org for more information. Come out and see us on Monday. 18 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Let's talk about self-defense. Let's talk about the best in the business when it comes to getting some training in. Let's talk about the Glock Store. Lenny Miguel and the Glock Store available for you just off Airlane Drive, or on Airlane Drive, I should say, just off of Elm Hill Pike and off of Briley Parkway. Minutes away from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere within the sound of my voice because they are, simply put, the best at what they do. What do? Well, when your name is the Glock Store, you better have Glocks, and they do. They got more Glocks than you can imagine. And if you don't believe me, just ask to see all of them. It'll take about all afternoon to see every single one of those Glocks. But they also have performance parts, and you can bet if it's not on the shelf within your reach, they have it in the warehouse, they have it, and they can bring it right out to you. Performance parts for my own Glock, I go to the source. I go to the Glock Store, where you have performance parts installed for free while you wait on your Glock. Now, they sell other items, too. I've bought a Sig Sauer from the Glock Store. I love these guns as well. Lots of guns. I've been to lots of gun stores, and I can tell you the best is the Glock Store. Get a tour of the Shoot 270 shooting rooms. No lanes, rooms. And their training is unmatched in our community. Everything about the Glock Store, unmatched in our community. Once again, it's the Glock Store, online at glockstore.com or shoot270.com, just off of Elm Hill Pike on Airlane Drive. Glock Store and glockstore.com, minutes away from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere.
Another high-ranking Democrat calls for Biden's withdrawal will have more reaction, and the State Department ramps up the rhetoric in the Israel-Hamas war. We'll have those stories at 2:30 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, John Michael. 2:23, Supertalk 99.7 WT. And a first opportunity to get you on the phones here, 615-737-9986. Been a busy day already. 615-737-WWTN. If you want to get involved in the show directly with a telephone call, you can also hit us up on the membersnutrition.com super text line, 615-737-9986. Just you and me until the top of the hour, and we'll hand off to Brian Wilson at that time. A lot of reaction to our interview with Courtney Johnston. I should correct myself, as asked by Courtney Johnston, that she says that I somewhat, to a certain degree, mischaracterized her. I did not attempt to do so. But in synopsizing what she said, she wants you to know that she did not say, nor intend to say, that she couldn't get anything done because of the liberals. She got plenty done. She just had to choose her battles, which is where those votes on social issues came from. And I said that I got it, and I would correct the message or correct the record, and I've done so. I think we're saying the same thing in slightly different ways, but I'll just leave it there. It also occurs to me that I said during our conversation with Courtney Johnston, look, I'm just a person interviewing a candidate for the people who are going to have to decide how they're voting on August 1st. I realized I'm one of those people. I mean, I live in Wilson County, a portion of Wilson County that is in Andy Ogle's district. So I'm going to have to decide for whom I'm voting. Andy Ogles and I did not get off on the right foot. Andy fudged a lot of his financial numbers. That is well documented. I had that story first 6 months before Phil Williams and others picked up on it, and I was right. Andy cut me off. How long were we cut off from Andy?
Before we made up?
Yeah. Almost a year?
I would say good 9-10 months.
Yeah. Because I had very specific questions about some of the financial reporting that he had engaged in during his initial campaign for Congress. Andy Ogle's supporters destroyed me about this. Destroyed me about this, just as Courtney Johnston supporters feel like I have been unfair to her. I don't have any desire to be, quote, fair or unfair to a candidate as considered by those candidates' support structure. I don't care. What I care about is interviewing somebody, getting to the bottom line, and making sure that we understand where they're coming from. Courtney Johnston uses as a central part of her campaign the issue of character. And so if character matters, then we're going to talk about hers too. We're talking about everyone's. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you missed any of it, go back and listen. We've had Andy on the show as well. Hold his feet to the fire. You know, Courtney said today, and I know I'm not misconstruing this because I asked a direct question, would you prefer Kevin McCarthy be the Speaker of the House right now? And she said yes. So there you go. Thomas is next in the borough. Hey, Thomas, how are you?
Hi. Yes, I live in the 13th district for the state representative, Jamie Avenwater, going against Robert Stevens. Well, I got flyers in the mail from Stevens talking about Jamie, and I tried to get in touch with her, and very little bit of success with it, but she was a never Trumper, and then she told me she voted for Trump. And then his flyer said that she's for abortion no matter what time it is in the pregnancy, that a woman should be able to get an abortion. That is what Stevens is saying. And I really like that interview that you just had with Courtney Johnston. I really wish that you could get them to on your show, and he can answer where he got this, how much of it's true, and then they can go back and forth if they would be willing to come on your show. I just want to know who I'm voting for, what's true and what's not true. And I also heard that Jamie also wrote in Spanish to the Hispanics on how to avoid being deported. And so, and she told me that she voted for Trump, and I'm like, well, if you voted for Trump, why would you do this? And it just doesn't add up. And when I asked her about her stand on this, I asked her this: your stand on pro-choice, or are you pro-life? And she never answered me that straight. She just referred me to some interview she did. And it's like, so I really don't know what's true between either one.
Thomas, you got to have to back up for a second. 13th district. Is this are these Republicans, obviously?
Yes, Republican in Murfreesboro.
I don't know a lot about that race. Who you going with?
Well, I voted for Stevens, and I'm probably going to vote with him again because the things that he voted for, he went with Bill Lee, and I voted for Bill Lee. So I haven't seen anything he's done that, that would say, well, I'm not going to vote for you again. So, but I just think that, that I just want people to be informed before they vote. And if these things are true, and if they're not true, well, then Stevens need to explain that. We live in a world right now where you just don't know really who to trust, what their own agenda might be for advancing their sales. I don't know that to be the truth, but if you're not paying attention and if you can't see that happening with certain candidates, well, then, that is just my stand.
Well, I'm glad. Take the stand, buddy, and I'm glad you called in, Thomas. I'm glad you got the message out. We have now, no disrespect to you, Thomas, we've now talked more about the 13th congressional or the 13th legislative race more than I thought we would today, and you've gotten some info out there for the people in that district, and I hope that they absorb it and act accordingly. It is 2:29, almost 2:30. We will go over some of the latest on the Saturday assassination attempt. Also, the latest from Sleepy, Sloppy, Crazy Joe. We'll tell you how Operation Save Joe's been going on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 2:30. I'm John Michael with your top stories. It's mostly sunny and 92 degrees on Music Row. Your forecast is on the way. A top Democratic lawmaker is calling for President Biden to step out of the presidential race. White House correspondent Karen Travers has details and explains why this is significant.
California Congressman Adam Schiff is calling on President Biden to drop his re-election bid, saying in a statement it's time for him to, quote, pass the torch, and that he has serious concerns the president can beat Donald Trump in November. ABC obtained audio of Schiff going even further while talking to donors over the weekend.
I think if he is our nominee, I think we lose.
Schiff in his statement says by withdrawing from the race, the president will, quote, secure his legacy of leadership by allowing us to defeat Donald Trump in the upcoming election.
There are now 21 Democratic lawmakers calling for Biden to drop out of the presidential race. U.S. officials at the State Department say they're ready to act if human rights violations are committed in the Mideast. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller told reporters today a former Israeli officer, Elor Azaria, who in 2016 was charged with shooting and killing a Palestinian, has been denied visa entry into the U.S. Miller also says it's a move that the U.S. hopes will influence the Israeli government to do more to keep Palestinians safe.
Part of the point of taking these measures is not just to impose accountability on people who've engaged in acts of violence or people who've engaged in other acts that increase instability in the West Bank. It is also to let others know that we are paying attention and we are watching and we are not going to hesitate to act.
That armed conflict started back in October of last year. That's the latest news. If you're looking for a cool down, it's coming on the way. Weather is next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and, we've been talking about Men of Valor, and I want to remind you of the opportunity that you have to support Men of Valor coming up this Monday. men-of-valor.org. That's men-of-valor.org. Go there. You'll see the sign up for the Golf Classic right there on the front page, and I invite you to be a part of it. We've got a few team opportunities still available for you in advance of Monday. Hopefully those will fill up today or tomorrow, so you need to do that quick by going over to register. But beyond that, reading some of the testimonials, listening to some of the men who were in a bad way, who found themselves hopeless and helpless with addiction or with struggles involving their past, their childhood, their now, and those men find themselves in the grip of prison and recidivism. Men of Valor comes in and gets them out of that cycle and gives them hope, gives them a better life opportunity, does so through the clarity and the assurance and the counsel of people like Rudy Kalis. And so I am proud to be a part of Men of Valor, proud to be a part of this organization, proud to tell you about them. And I encourage you, when you are considering donations, give to Men of Valor. And if you're a golfer or just want to support the effort, come on out and see us Monday at the second annual Rudy Kalis Celebrity Golf Classic, brought to you by Men of Valor. Hello, friends. Tennessee Men's Clinic wants to hear from you. Gentlemen, if you have an issue with energy or motivation, getting to the gym, doing yard work, or bedroom activity, it's time to figure out why. Do you know your T levels? If you don't, you need to. You need to know a lot of things about your health that you don't regularly ask about, gentlemen, like, blood pressure, cholesterol, and yes, that T level. And Tennessee Men's Clinic can help you with those things. And they can get you back right as rain with a plan specific for you and for your needs. Multiple plans available, and you can find out more at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Do this for yourself. Do this for the lady in your life. Do this for your health. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. That's TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. 2 convenient locations to serve you. One's in Midtown, right in the downtown area, if you will. The other is in Cool Springs, available for you if you are south of the city. It's Tennessee Men's Clinic, 615-208-9090, 208-9090. Lots to do. It's one of those days where I feel like I'm not delivering all of the news for you because there's simply too much. I wish I could read to you. You know, I do my daily pad every day. Bell sees it every day. I've got my notepad out. I've always
You're
done.
old school.
I'm old school. I do legal pad, and I put 6/12. That's the number of days that we've been doing this radio show on Super Talk. I put the date up there. I put Super Talk 99.7 WTN for some reason. I remind myself to remind you that, for example, Super Talk TV is brought to you in part by U.S. Pest on the Matt Murphy portion of the broadcast day. F&M Bank brings you the chat line. It's LFT 137, all of those things.
You've kind of turned me into a liar, though.
Why is that?
Because I titled the show New News about the pews, and we've had no new news about the pews.
That's what I got to get to. That's number 2 on my list. Number 1 was preview J.D. Vance speech. I haven't done that either. Number 2, I put the cover up of SS bleep ups, except I didn't put bleep. The cover up of the bleep ups.
Oh, for the Secret Service.
Uh-huh.
Okay, gotcha.
SS, not that.
No,
Secret Service. And we're going to get there now. According to sources, police officers detected the presence of a suspicious man that we now know to be the shooter. I'm not afraid of saying his name because thank God he did kill someone and he wounded 2 others. They are in now stable condition in hospitals. Thank God he did not kill the former president, the Republican candidate for president, but he did kill a firefighter, Compentor. According to sources, police officers detected the presence of Crooks and took a photograph of him and reported him at 5:45. Remember, he did not shoot until 6:11, so almost 30 minutes prior to, 26 minutes prior to him shooting at the president of the United States. Someone took a picture of him in law enforcement, determining him to be suspicious. After the fateful attack, it was determined that the man in the photograph was, in fact, Crooks. At the time he was photographed, officers were unable to determine whether or not he had a rifle. Obviously, he did. He opened fire from the rooftop of the building that had a clear view of the stage where Trump was speaking, inexplicably. Seconds after wounding the former president and killing a member of the audience, he was shot down by a Secret Service sniper, rightly so. We now know that his family members were concerned enough about his whereabouts that they called law enforcement to inform them that he was missing. The parents of Thomas Matthew Crooks called the police to say he was missing before the shooting. Follows another stunning development of the 20-year-old gunman. The gunman was at the rally some 3 hours before opening fire and sparking the suspicions of Secret Service because he was carrying a rangefinder. 30 minutes before he opened fire, they saw him with a rangefinder. Now, rangefinder is used for one of 2 things. It's used by marksmen to figure out how far they are away from their target, and it's used for golfers to figure out how far they are away from their target. Crooks' parents called law enforcement in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, to say that they were concerned about their son's whereabouts. He had climbed onto a roof and shot Trump and killed the retired volunteer fire chief, Corey Comparator, at the rally in Butler, 50 miles away from his house. Crooks apparently told his boss that he had to have Saturday off from work. One of his co-workers said that the last thing that he said to them was that he would see them on Sunday. Not to be. Now, if we set aside for a moment, I understand that it's a big set aside, but if we set aside for a moment the theories that are out there involving complicity, okay, amongst local agencies, Secret Service, whatever. Some have asked the question, and I am entering the room or arena of speculation now. He had in his vehicle explosives. He had what seemed to be on his person a detonation device. It looks like a little remote controlled. You might have seen a photograph of a close-up of that detonation device. And some are saying, well, what were the explosives for? My guess, and that is all it is that that was his escape plan. That if he was able to shoot the president of the United States of America in his mind, now I don't think this would have worked, don't get me wrong, But were he able to shoot the president of the United States, former president of the United States, that he thought perhaps that if he detonated a bomb in his vehicle, that would be enough of a distraction for him to blend into the crowd and eventually get away. That is my guess. I don't know that to be the case, but it seems reasonable to me if we discount the idea of him being a patsy, for the sake of conversation at least, or the idea of there being some inside job aspect to all of this. Jeff is in Hendersonville next. Jeff, thank you for your call. How are you?
Man, I'm not good. It's been, thank God President Trump's okay.
Yes.
But, man, I have gone from every emotion, and now I'm pissed off. It's, 91 hours since, other than these lame excuses I'm hearing from this DEI hire, Cheadle, and nothing from Mayorkas, of course. We know nothing's going to come out of any congressional hearings if she even shows up, deigns to show up. So my question, I got two really quick, is number one is then the long play by the Democrats, because we know we're not dealing with sane people here. If there's any Democrats listening, take a look at your party and look at what your party's doing right now, the way they're handling this. Would this be okay if it was the shoe was on the other foot? No. So is their play then just to kind of kick the ball, kick the can down the road, Lucy pulling the football, we'll just kick, this will go away. Minimal coverage on the MSM, right? And, it's the crazy Trumpers again when we're rightfully pissed off. And we need answers like 2 days ago. And it looks like they're just going to run the long game with just nothing to see here. So my question, Matt, in your opinion, is that the way they're going to go? And number two is, I'm a conservative. I don't go out and protest, but I think everybody on listening, with anywhere you are, let's figure out a way to really amplify our voices peacefully, but we need to amplify our voices. And if it's standing down in the courthouse, for me, it would be in Nashville. But if you're down in San Diego or LA or New York City or Tampa or Miami or wherever you are, get a local group. And we need, seriously, this is time, because the fact that this even happened, number one, but now the route it seems that the Democrats are taking on this, is this the kind of country you want to live in? And I'll say that to any of our recent immigrants, illegal or otherwise. Is this the país que quieres? Is this the country that you want? That's what you fled. And that's what the Democrats are creating. I'm sorry, but thanks for letting me ramble. Interested in your opinion. Thank you.
Jeff, thank you very much. I don't think you were rambling. I think you were hitting on a lot of very good points and very important points. Let's talk about this from 50,000 feet. We will hopefully learn all of the details that we need to know about the failures. There will always be speculation. The failures are so great, the mistakes were so egregious, that there will be those among us, and I'm not sure that I will not count myself in that number, that will never believe the official record. Sadly, we have such a distrust in these organizations now. I have such a deep, deep distrust in the FBI. I have such a deep distrust in Alejandro Mayorkas. He is such a liar. He sits there with his smug little face, with his holier-than-thou little look, his little beady eyes, and tells us the border's secure. What a liar. What a liar. Why would I believe him now? Regardless of what we personally come to as our own conclusion as to what we believe happened, we have evidence coming out. Way too slow, it seems. Doesn't it? Doesn't it? 4 days later, way too slow. But given what we know, why has the President of the United States not announced that he has accepted the resignation of Kimberly Cheadle? Why? What world do we live in where she survives in her job? The buck stops where? Who else are you going to fire? You going to fire the guy that rushed in and tried to shield him? You going to fire the guy that took him out? You going to fire the boss that let it all happen? Why are we not demanding this woman be fired? I mean, we are. It doesn't need to be not, I remember Shawshank Redemption. Great, fabulous. One of my top 10 all-time favorite movies. Shawshank Redemption, the warden in Shawshank Redemption. Not tomorrow, not after breakfast, now. It's the least. If the President of the United States of America believes in what he says he believes in, if Joe Biden knows his butt from a hole in the ground and is actually glad that Donald Trump isn't dead, then you fire the person that was responsible for this. Why are we protecting a woman who none of us knew 4 days ago? Not one of us. Now, maybe one or two of you. I'm not accusing you of being as dumb as me. Did anybody know who this person was? If I said to you on a bet, I got $500 to tell me the director of the Secret Service, anybody going to be able to make that money? But now suddenly she's such an important, integral part of the inner workings of the Secret Service that you can't give her a box and put her on her ass? And you tell me, oh, we're glad the president's okay. Really?
Hey, Matt, to your own point, Biden didn't know who she was because he responded that he had spoken to him.
I have that. Hold on. Well, it might be too far down for me to get to it. But, yeah, I don't believe for a second that Joe Biden knew that his director of Secret Service, this was Joe Biden speaking with Lester Holt a few days ago, where Joe Biden and Lester Holt talked about the director of Secret Service and here we go. Let's start here. And I know we got to get to the break and get to Brian, but let's just start here.
Another question, if I can, about Saturday. Of course, the former president was wounded. One of his supporters died. A couple of more people were seriously injured. Was this a massive security failure?
I have had 2 meetings in the Situation Room with all the intelligence communities, of FBI, Secret Service, et cetera, and I've asked for a totally independent analysis, and we'll see what happens in that.
We'll see what happens. What? Guys, I'm not president of the United States. At least I know that. I don't know if Joe knows his butt from Sunday or a banana. But here's the answer. Was this a security failure? Yes, of course it was. Someone got a shot off at a former president. There's no question that it was a massive security failure. And then here's the clip that Bell made reference to, and then we'll go to break. Here it is.
Is it acceptable that you have still not heard, at least publicly, from the Secret Service director?
Oh, I've heard from him.
What did he say there?
I've heard from him.
What did he say there?
Oh, I've heard from him.
Now, I'm going to play the whole clip for you. Watch as Lester cleans it up. This is what the media does for this guy who's in the midst of dementia.
Is it acceptable that you have still not heard, at least publicly, from the Secret Service director?
Oh, I've heard from him.
But have you heard from her?
You see him clean it up there? You heard from her? I heard from him. You heard from her?
But have you heard from her publicly?
Publicly, I've sat down in a Situation Room downstairs. The Secret Service, the FBI, the national security agencies, the Homeland Security, all the major.
I don't think Joe Biden knows. I think you're right, Bill. I don't think Joe Biden knew that his Secret Service director was a female. I don't think Joe Biden knows anything. And America is weaker for it. All right, enough of that. I got to get to Brian. It's 53 after the hour. Very late. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.